It's time for some real education. Notes from a Dead House is a semi-autobiographical novel by Fyodor Dostoevsky, published in 1860 to 62. It portrays the life of convicts in a Siberian prison camp. Dostoevsky spent 4 years in exile in such a prison following his conviction for involvement in the Petroshevsky Circle. This experience allowed him to describe with great authenticity the conditions of prison life and the characters of the convicts.
Yeah, Dostoevsky is a really interesting guy. He's the great, I think in the last 150 years, at least, he is the single greatest defender of Christianity in the history of the world. He is the greatest apologist for Christian thinking, the most powerful, the most insightful, the most impactful a Christian apologist of the last 150 years. And that's saying something. But he didn't start out that way. As a young man, he was a college kid. And when he went to college, he immediately became infected with this typical kind of liberalism that you see to this day that infects college kids. He began to think that he knew everything and that everything was owed to him, and so he became the 19th century equivalent of an Antifa person. He became a rebel and a revolutionary. He joined the Petroshevsky group, which was an anarchist, anti-government group. He was arrested by the Tsar, sentenced to death, and at the very last minute, he was spared the firing squad, but he was sent instead for an 8-year term in Omsk, Siberia, at one of those horrific penal places. I mean, it was in the middle of Siberia. They didn't even have fences around the encampment, because where would you go? Go ahead and run away. You'll be dead in 6 hours. And this was the place that he's a college kid, a privileged kid growing up, college boy. He was sent to one of the most brutal prisons in the world at the time. Rapists, murderers, lunatic serial killers. This is who he spent his time with. And the thing that really blew Dostoevsky away is he titled his memoirs of this time, Notes from a Dead House. This is where people were sent to die. This is where the dead lived. And one of the things that blew him away most profoundly was these hardened murderers and rapists and criminals who would cut your throat for an extra lump of bread if they could steal your rations. Twice a year at Easter and Christmas time, the Christian church, the Orthodox Church, would bring the sacrament, the Holy Communion, into the prison. And he could not get over the fact that these hardened criminals would weep like children in the presence of the sacrament, the body and blood of Christ. That even here he found redemptive souls, that even here the dead could be resurrected. He left after 4 years. He was freed and became he rejected his rebellion. He rejected his anarchy. He became one of the great Christian thinkers. And here's a quick passage from the book. I really urge you to read it. He's talking about his experiences in the prison. Whoever has experienced the power and the unrestrained ability to humiliate another human being automatically loses his own sensations. Tyranny is a habit. It has its own organic life. It develops finally into a disease. The habit can kill and coarsen the very best man or woman to the level of a beast. Blood and power intoxicate. The return of the human dignity, repentance, and regeneration becomes almost impossible. And isn't that description the description of the 20th century? From Lenin to Hitler to Mao. Isn't that exactly what was coming when we socialized and communized the world? And the only thing that allows resurrection and regeneration to occur, he understood so well, was Christian ideology. It's a great story. I urge you to read it.